What's going on, guys? Ryan O'Toole back here again, giving you guys another TV show ranking video. If you guys are new here, feel free to click that subscribe button and that bell notification icon for more reviews, reactions, rankings, and more movie content. So it's been a year since the final season of Game of Thrones aired, and it came out last year. The show ended, and it's by far the most divisive, controversial, and hated season thus far, despite the fact that it's still one of the greatest shows ever made. And people have their issues with Season 8, but we're not talking about Season 8 in particular. This is my personal ranking for all 8 seasons of Game of Thrones. I've gotten so many comments from people asking me what are my thoughts on the show overall, and I've had no response to them because I haven't seen the show until last year. And binge watching the show last year was an amazing experience, and Game of Thrones is hands down one of the greatest TV shows I have ever seen. And while we're being quarantined, I figured I'd do this video just to show you guys my love for Game of Thrones as well as my ranking for all of the seasons. There's 8 seasons to rank. I want you guys to get down below in the comment section. If you've seen Game of Thrones, let me know your ranking for all of the seasons. And if you haven't seen the show at all, this video is going to be full of spoilers. I am warning you up front. Coming in at number 8 is going to be obviously Season 8. The newest season, the final season of Game of Thrones. A very disappointing season and a very disappointing conclusion to one of the greatest television shows in history. For the people that have spent years watching this show, I can definitely see why they absolutely despise this season overall, what they did to certain characters and storylines, where they ended off. Positives though, I really love the first 2 episodes of Season 8. When we got the Dothraki and the Unsullied, Dany and Jon marching up to Winterfell, getting ready for the battle against the Night King. Full of reunions as well. I really love Sansa and Tyrion's reuniting. They haven't seen each other since Joffrey's wedding. That was a great reuniting. Arya and Gendry, Arya and the Hound, that was a really great reunion right there. And I love the moment when Brienne gets knighted by Jaime. That was a moment I've been waiting for because Brienne deserved it, and Jaime as well coming into Winterfell. The whole Long Night episode, episode 3, was a really intense, action-packed episode, but my biggest issue was the lighting. And I saw this on streaming, and the lighting was absolutely atrocious in a lot of scenes. I could not see what was going on. The deaths of Jorah Mormont, Lyanna Mormont, and Theon Greyjoy. Theon had a really great arc throughout the show, and it was great to see him go out like he did, getting stabbed by the Night King and protecting Bran. This season was completely rushed. D&D had absolutely no idea what they were doing. They had no plans set forth after George R. R. Martin's books ended after Season 5, and so they had no source material to follow. The last 2 seasons, Season 7 and 8, should have been 10 episodes each. You should have pushed it to 80 episodes. That way you could have fleshed out Dany going mad, as well as Cersei. The biggest issue is just this finale. Everything leading up to the moment was completely rushed. Nothing felt earned at all. And then you let it to Bran being the king. Bran the Broken being king of Westeros. That is just cringe altogether. At the number 7 spot is actually going to be Season 5. Season 5 of Game of Thrones was 10 episodes long. This season, I don't hate it as well. I just think it's a good season all around. There's just a lot of plot points in Season 5 that just gets under my skin. Starting with the High Sparrow storyline, everything with the High Sparrow, as well as the other Sparrow storylines. When the High Faith, the Faith Militant storyline, I could not stand that storyline. Cersei allowing the High Sparrow to have all this power was a big problem from the start, and Tommen being a wuss of a king doing nothing about it. If Joffrey was still alive, he would not allow this to happen. Season 5 also consisted of Arya going to Braavos to train to be a faceless man under Jaqen H'ghar. And the faceless man training is a big issue I have. Well, the faceless man training was really awesome for Arya, but in later seasons on, she does not use this awesome ability she has, especially with the Long Night episode in Season 8. But positives I love for this season is Tyrion after he executed his father Tywin, and him on his journey to Meereen to find Daenerys and become her advisor. Awesome for Tyrion. Going on the trip with Jorah and Varys was awesome. Cool to see Jorah and Varys and Tyrion communicate together. And then we get to the awesome moment with Daenerys meeting Tyrion. Such an awesome moment right there. The Sons of the Harpy were kind of characters, but they were intimidating. They also killed Barristan Selmy, a really underrated Kingsguard member. That was a really shocking moment. And then everything with Jon. Jon becoming Lord Commander of the Night's Watch was an awesome moment too. And his angerness with Sir Alliser. And we get to the moment when Jon gets betrayed by the Night's Watch and Ollie the devil. We can't forget about the Walk of Atonement for Cersei. Shame. And that moment too, just a lot of graphic stuff this season and just not that enjoyable for me. My number 6 is season 7. I really like season 7. It's a really good season. It felt really rushed, only being 7 episodes, but still, it's a very action-packed season. I love all the scenes with Drogon as well in the Spoils of War episode, with the Dothraki charging the Lannister army and the Tarleys as well, and Drogon flying over. I really love the Spoils of War. That's a really underrated episode in season 7. And the storyline with Daenerys and all of them arriving at Dragonstone in Westeros so Daenerys can claim the Iron Throne. There's also the season when Jon first meets Daenerys, and Jon's now king in the north after his win in the Battle of the Bastards. And Jon and Daenerys' first exchange is really awesome to see. Jon is meeting with Daenerys so they can become allies in their fight against the Night King and the army of the dead, and so they need to find Dragonglass and go beyond the wall to convince Cersei, who is now the queen of the Seven Kingdoms, to try to find a white so she can believe that the army of the dead is the real battle instead of the Seven Kings. The Beyond the Wall episode's a really cool episode all around when you got Jon, the Hound, Beric Dondarrion, Tormund Giantsbane, Jorah Mormont, Thoros of Myr, and Gendry as well going beyond the wall to find a white, and they get some beaten from the army of the dead. The Night King kills Visceron, one of Dany's dragons. My favorite episode of season 5 for sure is Hardhome. That is top 3 Game of Thrones episodes where we see the Night King for the first time and Jon and the Wildlands banding together against the army of the dead. Hardhome, some of the best action in Game of Thrones, and then the Night King raising his arms up, making a new army. Just an awesome moment. Coming in at number 5 is going to be Season 2. Season 2, fantastic season. Has some of the best dialogue ever written for Game of Thrones. Season 2 focuses on the War of the Five Kings after Ned Stark's execution. Robb Stark, the King of the North, leads the expedition to try to fight off the Lannisters. Joffrey is the new king. And you got Stannis Baratheon, who is challenging Joffrey's claim to the throne, Balon Greyjoy as well, and Renly Baratheon. The War of the Five Kings ensues. The main reason why I love Season 2 is because of Tyrion Lannister. This is the season of Tyrion. It made everybody love Tyrion as a character, becoming Hand of the King to Joffrey, acting Hand of the King. But Peter Dinklage's acting throughout the season is so awesome. I love seeing him tie wits and fool all these people like Littlefinger, like Varys. Theon betraying Robb was a really shocking moment right there and made Theon look really bad. And then, of course, we go to the Battle of Blackwater. Stannis marching in on King's Landing and fighting all the troops. The Hound saying his funny lines, "Fuck the water, bring me wine." And it's Blackwater's for sure my favorite episode in Season 2. Just a awesome nighttime battle. Tyrion blowing up Stannis' ships with wildfire. And then we get introduced to Jaqen H'ghar, a really interesting character for Arya. And she wants to learn how to be a faceless man after seeing Jaqen. Feels like Tywin really is interested in Arya. Could be like a better daughter figure than Cersei. So I love those conversations between Tywin and Arya. And Season 2, just full of fantastic dialogue sequences that I absolutely love in terms of Game of Thrones. Which brings me to my number 4, and my number 4 is Season 3. Season 3 is a fantastic season all around. All these top 5 are fantastic. I love Daenerys in this season. Basically, buying the Unsullied army and Grey Worm, we get introduced in there. Barristan Selmy and Jorah as her advisors, and then Missandei as well, and basically Daenerys buying off all of these slaves, and then we meet Daario Naharis as well, and just everything with Daenerys going through in this season when she burns all the slave masters, and then all the dragons growing up. Just an awesome Dany season. This is a Robb Stark season as well, falling in love with Talisa after he made a huge mistake lying to Walder Frey, promising to marry one of his daughters. I also love this season because of Jon joining the Wildlands and meeting the King Beyond the Wall, Mance Rayder, and falling in love with Ygritte. Such a really great underrated romance story between Jon and Ygritte, and he learns the Wildlands way, trying to figure out their plans to take Castle Black. Meeting the Brotherhood Without Banners as well, and Beric versus the Hound as well, seeing the Hound take Arya captive so she can bring her back home to her family, and Catelyn and Robb at the wedding of Edmure Tully. And after the ceremony's over, we get the biggest twist and backstab in TV history, the Red Wedding. Roose Bolton betraying Robb, killing him, becoming Warden of the North, and Walder Frey as well, watching Catelyn Stark die, Talisa getting stabbed to death by a Frey soldier. It's shocking. The Red Wedding seriously blew my mind away, not seeing that coming at all. Just totally shocked watching that whole scene. Before we continue on with my top 3, guys, if this is your first time checking out my channel and you're enjoying what you're seeing, please smash that like button. It really helps with the algorithm. And consider clicking that subscribe button, because I do tons of ranking videos, movie reviews, Blu-ray videos, and I do this on a weekly basis. Let's continue. My number 3 is going to be Season 1. Season 1 is a fantastic season. Great introduction to the world of Game of Thrones. And Sean Bean as Ned Stark, one of my favorite characters. I wish he wasn't killed off so early. But still, Ned Stark, you see who he is as a man. He is leader of House Stark. You meet his children. Robert Baratheon as the king. We find out everything that happened with Robert, overthrowing the Targaryens, and then we meet the Lannisters as well. Joffrey, Jaime, Cersei. This is where I hated Jaime, I hated Cersei, and hated Joffrey. Jon goes to join the Night's Watch, and Ned Stark accepts the Hand of the King position, and Ned Stark is ruling as Hand of the King in King's Landing, and he's learning a lot of dark secrets that happened with his mentor Jon Arryn, who was murdered, and so the position was offered to him, and finds out some secrets that Robert's children, Joffrey, and all of them aren't his. Love that episode. After Robert dies, you got Joffrey immediately on the Iron Throne, and Cersei has manipulated the whole system. Joffrey's the new king. Bender died, and Ned Stark, being the honorable man that he is, says that your son has no claim to the throne, and Ned Stark is charged with treason. And then we get to the Baelor episode, and Ned Stark is decapitated to death. I love that Game of Thrones is one of those shows that is not afraid to kill off their main characters. Ned Stark, the main character in Season 1, is killed off the first season. It's so great. And of course, we get Daenerys' storyline. We meet Khal Drogo, played by Jason Momoa. Also gone way too soon. He dies in Season 1 as well. But seeing Khal and Daenerys' relationship first starts off as rape, but then it becomes such a cute romance altogether, and see Daenerys grow as the seasons continue, and I can't stand her brother, and seeing Viserys get burned by molten gold was super awesome. Top 2, coming in at number 2, is going to be Season 6. Season 6 is a fantastic season. I don't hear a lot of people talking about Season 6, and now people are starting to come around. After Jon is executed by some former Night's Watch members, after hanging them, leaves the wall, and joins the fight to overthrow Ramsay Bolton. By far one of the best villains in Game of Thrones. Ramsay's such a conniving evil villain who has taken over Winterfell as the Lord of Winterfell, and their fight against the Boltons. They don't have the numbers, and so Jon tries to get the Wildlands over to his side and find some other houses. Not the numbers. Love everything with Cersei getting revenge on the High Sparrow and everything. Still a lot of High Sparrow stuff and Marjorie and Tommen's betrayal, just leading up to all that. Everything with the High Sparrow was kind of a dull, but Cersei just killing them all in the Sept of Baelor with wildfire. Battle of the Bastards, my favorite episode of Game of Thrones. That whole entire battle was super well filmed. Awesome action. Seeing Jon and Ramsay go at each other's throats. And Rickon getting killed off. The kid does not know how to zigzag. I don't know why. And Hodor's death, too. Hodor's death really had me crying so hard. Unfortunately, Bran does return in Season 6, becomes the Three-Eyed Raven. That was alright. But everything with the Battle of the Bastards, Jon getting named King in the North, Daenerys setting sail for Westeros, Cersei sitting on the Iron Throne. I love The Winds of Winter. It's my favorite episode 10 of the series, and it's a very satisfying season, Season 6. But easily my number one is Season 4. Season 4, if you talk about a perfect season of television, perfect writing, perfect acting, perfect action, it's Season 4 of Game of Thrones. Season 4 is all about basically Tyrion being in trial after he is convinced of killing Joffrey. And that's one of the biggest highlights. Seeing Joffrey die in episode 2 of Season 4. How much I hated this kid with a burning passion to see him get what he deserved in episode 2 of Season 4. Tyrion's trial is my favorite episode for Season 4, and him just exploding all of his thoughts to Tywin and saying how he feels is super awesome, and Shay betraying him at the end was a really cold backstab. We also get introduced to Oberyn Martell, played by Pedro Pascal, the Mandalorian himself. Awesome character. Oberyn's such a badass, but I think a lot of people and myself, my favorite moments is just everything with Arya and the Hound on their road trip together. This whole season is just Arya and the Hound just traveling together throughout the kingdoms, and it's just awesome dialogue with the Hound and Arya. Brienne versus the Hound at the final episode of this season was super intense and bitter to watch. Just how this whole season ended off with a bang. Oberyn getting killed off by the Mountain was shocking to watch. Brienne versus the Hound in the final episode of Season 4. There's so much stuff in this season, and it's cleverly written, cleverly acted, cleverly action. Season 4 is the best season, without a doubt. There you have it, guys. That was my ranking for all 8 seasons of Game of Thrones. Again, let me know your ranking down below in the comment section, and let's have a great discussion. Thank you guys, as always, for watching this ranking. All my social media links are in the description below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!